Welcome back to another episode of the Money Mindset Hub podcast. I'm your host, Carla Townsend, and I'm a money mindset and success coach for female entrepreneurs. So today, this is something that actually my team sent me. It was inspiration from them when they saw someone talking about this concept that just completely rattled them because they thought, hang on a second, I thought everyone was like me and zero means zero. But that is not the case. Now, what I mean by this is your new zero. So, the amount of money in your account that you actually class as zero, because when your accounts start to dwindle around said number, and it honestly could be zero, it could be even in the negatives, or it could be 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, whatever it is, there is this number that you feel incredibly safe with in your accounts. And once you know the spending and the bills and all that sort of stuff, when it starts to get close to that number, you feel like, oh, that's it, got to buckle up, got to knuckle down and get it back up again. Because that, regardless of whether it's in the tens of thousands, it to you feels like zero because it is your minimum. Your minimum must be there, whether it's for a rainy day, whether it's just for an emergency fund, whatever you want to call it. It's honestly just this amount that you feel safe with. And when you have less than that, or when your money is getting close to that, that's when you begin to feel quite unsafe, unsteady, a little bit stressed, a little bit anxious. So I want to know, when you're thinking about it now, what is this number for you? Because the whole point here is to one, be able to recognize, well, what is your new zero? And then start to acclimatize for more. Because at the end of the day, we want to be able to increase our capacity to be able to hold more wealth. And that can be really uncomfortable. So, what number right now, at the top of your head, when you have this number, like it's a minimum, you must have this number in your bank account at all times to feel safe, to feel stress free. What is that number for you? Now, don't doubt yourself, second guess yourself, class yourself as wrong if your number is zero. And if you're like, you know what, when I'm at zero, then that's zero. And you can fly by the seat of your pants and not really have much to fall back on. Like if you're at zero, you're like, it's fine. I'll wait till next pay and we'll get sorted. I obviously want you to be able to acclimatize to being able to not live week by week, but I understand the majority of us budget based on how often you get paid, how frequently you pay yourself, for instance. So it's totally fine. So, what is that number for you right now? This purely is to understand your baseline with money. And this is where your safety level is. This is your minimum threshold of how much needs to be there to feel safe, stress free. Now, let's talk about this feeling of safe when your number maybe is zero, or maybe it isn't a negative. I have met people where they feel fine when they've literally got zero left in the bank account, or if they're in arrears. They're like, oh, it's fine, it's negative, it'll sort itself out. That to me, a typical accumulator. And if you're an accumulator too, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I do have a money archetype quiz. There are 8 archetypes. So go to moneymindset.hub.com/quiz, take the quiz, you will know. So I'm an accumulator. So for me, absolutely need to have several tens of thousands sitting there just because. And if I don't, that's when I feel unsafe and when I feel a little bit stressed. Now, some mavericks, on the other hand, can definitely go with zero, negative, and have this kind of like, she'll be right attitude. Now, that to an accumulator is absolutely terrifying, but it's fine. I want you to think about this as like awareness is always the first piece of the puzzle, and understanding what is your zero. What is your zero? And then what do you actually desire it to be? And you can incrementally upgrade to that figure, to that amount in your accounts. And this then is able to stretch your capacity to be able to hold more wealth. Maybe right now you feel safe with 10K sitting there. You must have 10K, otherwise you start to feel a bit uneasy. But you're like, you know what? I would actually love for that number to be 30. So what you need to do then is start to incrementally save on autopilot, have a system, automatically get sent to where it needs to go every week or every pay schedule, however often you pay yourself, it's set up. The way I manage money is super seamless, stress free. I don't even really need to look at it. It's done and it's sorted. So that's the way I definitely encourage you to do it. And obviously, all the methods to my madness are in my signature money mindset and energetics program, Rich and Resilient. So you can always check that out. It's always open for enrollment. But that in there will explain exactly how I actually do the money situation and how you can make it easy, whether it be personal or whether it be business, totally up to you. But I want you to think, what would that number actually be? What's my next safe number? Now, the reason why expanding your capacity to be able to hold more wealth, AKA incrementally upgrading the amount that you have just set aside just because you're going for your new zero, whatever that figure might be. The reason that we do that is because it cultivates safety within your body to be able to hold comfortably new amounts, higher amounts without the sabotaging behaviors, without the overspending, without the impulsive buying, without this need to like hoard it all, then all of a sudden splurge. You know what I mean? Like we just want to be able to build these really healthy habits when it comes to money. And don't judge yourself either if you have made mistakes. If you have thought, I would love for 50K to be my new zero, but I have made so many investments or I've wasted so much money here. And if only I didn't do this, and if only I had a focus on this more. The past is in the past, and you can only learn from that and go, how do I actually feel about that now? Would I change it? Would I make a different decision going forward? We've all made mistakes. I've made mistakes, but at the end of the day, money is money. You can always make more money. You can never make more time. So choose what you do with your time wisely and make the money be a little bit easier for you. So when you're wanting to incrementally upgrade and expand your capacity to hold more, to have more there just because it's nice to feel like that. Not only is it going to be able to cultivate this neutrality, this abundant mindset within you, but it's also going to give you freedom. Because at the end of the day, freedom is all that you and I want. And the more money that you do have set aside, the more free that you actually are. Because in this day and age, you do need money. It is something that we all must have. Your freedom is tied up in how much wealth you are willing to create and hold and expand for yourself. It truly is. Because if I asked you one question, if for whatever reason you had to hit pause for 3 months on life and just focus on one area, not on your business, for instance, can your business still survive without you? Can your family still survive without you being on in that income stream? You are an entrepreneur. So there are a multitude of ways to make different revenue streams for your business. And this is something you'll continue to play with for the rest of your days, as will I. How many different income streams can I have? How much can I actually expand my capacity to hold? How much more can I hold if I add another couple zeros on there? What would that feel like? The fact is, the more money that you have sitting there for whatever life might throw at you, because life's going to life and we can't always predict or control what is actually going to happen. But when it happens, maybe you do need to pause. Maybe you have a sick relative that you've all of a sudden got to look after and everything is just shut, pause, focus there. Touch wood. I hope that none of that ever happens, but I'm just saying, we don't know what's going to happen. So the more that you can expand your capacity to hold more wealth, the more set up financially that you are, the more that you will not have these stresses of what if something happened? What would you do? Would you have to rely on other people? Not necessarily a bad thing, but is there a way that you can expand your capacity just bit by bit by bit? Is there a way that you can expand your wealth creation, your receivership abilities bit by bit by bit? So think about that again. What is your zero right now? Is it zero? Is it 5K, 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K, whatever it might be? What number do you feel safe with? Like it's a minimum, essential, must be in your accounts at all times to feel like it's good, things are good, it's fine. And then what is your new zero? What would you like it to be? What's the goal? And then, of course, have a plan to actually make that happen. How much more do you need to allocate in there every time you pay yourself? How much do you need to allocate in order to get to that goal without touching it. Now, if you do, it's fine. Pick it up, keep going. Notice your habits. Why did you dip into it? When you're trying to get to this goal, is that a self-sabotaging behavior to keep you safe because you're not actually used to holding that amount of money? Now, when you think about it, how many times have you always hovered around the same savings amount? Like, it doesn't seem to matter how much you earn or how much you put away. You always seem to hover around that same figure in your bank account. Why? Why is that? It's because unconsciously that makes you feel safe. More than that, unconsciously is unsafe for you. And it's very heavily tied into your self-concept, who you identify as, how much money, wealth they're allowed to have, like your unconscious limiting beliefs that you do have, and what you are worthy of. So just notice that. What do I always sit around? And for whatever reason, always seem to come back down to that. Why? What am I scared of? What is a consequence for me having more? What is a consequence for me being able to get to my new zero? And see what comes up, because it could just be something as simple as fear of judgment, fear of being treated differently, fear of being called rich and greedy. Money's very subjective. Money is very emotionally charged, but don't let that stop you from getting to your new zero, because your new zero is step by step, incrementally expanding your capacity to hold more wealth and to create more financial freedom for yourself and your family. No matter what happens, life will life, but you are good. And when you are good, you are solid, you are content, you are confident, and that's when you make very clear, decisive, strategic decisions, not emotionally charged decisions. We're making decisions for the long term, not the short term. I hope this has helped you. I would love to know. So be sure to send me a DM at Money Mindset Hub and let me know, what is your new zero and how does it differ from the current reality? All right. I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I would absolutely love it if you could please leave me a 5-star review and let me know your thoughts. Remember, everything you desire and deserve is just on the other side of your own resistance. So take that next step.